Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Welch Team's December edition of Ask the Agent. This week we are going to be talking about relocation and answering any questions you might have about steps to relocation, different areas of town, and just some other general advice and questions that we've gotten in over the week. Again, my name's Kelly DeLucia. I am our listing specialist on the team.
And I am George Pottenkulam. I am the buyer specialist on the team.
So, without further ado, actually, before we get started, if you guys want to ask any questions along the way, if you want to type in the comment box on the Facebook Live, we have Sabrina back there who will be monitoring those questions. Feel free to check yourself into the live event, share it with your friends, family, anybody that might benefit from listening today as well. And we're doing this a bit differently today. We've got a bunch of questions that have come in and we've printed them out. So instead of having a host moderating, we'll just be sharing the questions back and forth. So George, I'm going to give you this first one.
All right. The very first question we have is, I've always wanted to live in St. Augustine, and I'm strongly considered making the move in 2018, but was wondering what would be the best time of year to do so. Okay. I guess it just depends individually. Your typical heavy time frames are March through September-ish, October-ish. So that is going to be when the most properties are available on the market, but it's also going to be when the most competition is on the market. So you could choose to do it at that time frame. Generally, I would say probably the best times to really consider is maybe November or January, February timeframe, before everybody has really started their heavy searching, but there's still a lot of properties on the market. In fact, this month and we going into next month, we have a heavy amount of buyers looking to purchase in and around these areas. So it is not slowing down. So really, there's never a bad time. You just know that the heavy times of year is going to be when you have the most competition for homes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So a quick follow-up to that. So if I was going to start my home search, what would I anticipate would be the average cost of a single-family home in North Florida?
The average cost? Wow, that's like wide open. Just North Florida is so big, and we really would have to break it down by general areas. But if you were to throw a number out there, it's probably about 180 to 220. Somewhere in that range, if you just take an average.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of options. There's a lot of affordable options for families and individuals who are looking in Northeast Florida. And like George said, it's just going to depend on which part of town you want to be in, which is a good segment into, what is there in Northeast Florida and what parts of town are there. And I will tell you that there are a lot. There are a lot of different parts of town, and each of them have their own unique personalities and offer many different things and can be quite different from one to the next. What do you think is the best way to try and learn about those areas?
Well, probably I would say the best thing to do is really explore them multiple times. Go out during the week, at the end of the day, around 5-6 o'clock in the evenings, just to see who all is returning or what the evening environment is. Weekends, exploring around that area, because you just never know if you go there at 11 o'clock in the morning to go see a house. It's just not going to give you a true indication of the environment, because it is kind of everybody's at work or out and about, so you're not really going to get a true feeling for the neighborhood till later on. So if you're not familiar with the area, absolutely take you can absolutely check it out, but you can look online too. There's 100 different websites, Google Maps, that you can just get an idea for areas, what the homes next to you or down the street look like. So that's a good way to start if you're not here.
Absolutely. I'm going to follow up. There was a question that came in. Is it possible to schedule home tours virtually, like through FaceTime or Skype? And the answer is absolutely yes. There are many listings these days, especially all of our listings, where we actually include a virtual 3D tour that you can walk through the property at any point in time. It's an always open house, so you can take your virtual reality headset, or you can walk yourself through on the computer screen or on your phone screen and feel as if you're navigating yourself through a house at any point in time, and day or night. Agents also can walk you through. They can go preview those properties for you, and with the ease of FaceTime and Skype and video conferencing, we can be there and we can help you be there as best possible if you physically can't make it into town. We know that in Northeast Florida there's a lot of military families that relocate here, that oftentimes there might be one spouse or partner who does the looking while the other person is out working, or might be on deployment in another country, and that's a great way for those families to try and share what they're seeing as well.
Right, and the importance of working with the buyer's agent for that factor is we constantly will do that for our customers. Take them out via phone. We using all the different type of technologies that are available to tour them around the house, answer questions, dig into it a lot further than what we would typically do if you were locally here, because you do have the resources to drive around and check it out. So just for example's sake, the last couple of times we've had customers living in Hawaii, of course they're just not going to fly over here for a quick one house look. So we will drive around the neighborhood, let them know what's around there, give them the access through looking at Google Maps and things like that, but also touring at home through FaceTime videos. And FaceTime's great because you can just hey, what's this, what's that over here. These are questions that will come about when you're looking through the house. So those are important factors for being able to help somebody decide if that's the right house or not. And then if we do have that ability to have the 10-day windows for inspections for someone to then make that plan to come out if it does take it to the next level.
So that's actually a great, we have another question here that's, what's the best way to buy a home without being able to physically see the home until move-in day? What precautions should I take? And George just really hit the nail on the head with, one, we are happy to take you out and, FaceTime you through the house, FaceTime you through the neighborhood, FaceTime you through the, restaurants and shopping that might be nearby so that you can see the general vicinity in which you'd be living in. But, once you get to the point where you're putting a contract in on a property, you want to make sure that you've done your due diligence on the home itself. And the proper precautions, we always recommend a home inspection. And a home inspection would be considered, your general home inspection, and then any add-on inspections that you might want to get, whether for insurance purposes, for pest or wood destroying organism. If there's a pool on the property, we recommend a pool inspection, septic well. There's a lot of different things depending on the specific property that you are interested in. And that is a way that we can help you navigate through some of the things you can't see that are going on behind the walls. Anything to add to what other precautions people should take?
And the online resources are there to look at crime reports, statistics around the neighborhood, sexual predators, things like that. So all the resources are there for you to be able to, and we will share that information as well to help you navigate through that, because every city, every area is going to be a little bit different, but we'd be able to share all that with you so you can. Airport notices,
Yep.
Where you are in airport zone, things, those historic areas, those are all important things to find out and make sure that it is the right house.
Absolutely. Which is kind of another, if you haven't lived in Northeast Florida before, you might not be used to some certain features of homes down here, or even of different types of inspections that we recommend individuals do, just because you might not have termite problems if you live up north, so that's something that we would recommend down here. So depending on where you're coming from, some of these might be unfamiliar territory to you, so we're happy to help navigate through those issues as well. A question along that lines was who pays for home inspections and what types of repairs do sellers cover? So in Northeast Florida, our contracts are written so that the buyer pays for the inspection on the property, and it's up to the buyers to do their own due diligence on the specifics of the property itself. So the buyer is responsible for that cost. What types of repairs do sellers cover? It depends. So generally, repair requests are broken into 4 sections: structural, maintenance, system, or safety, excuse me, or other. And just like it says, other can be a lot. So it's really another negotiation point of your contract, but your agent is here to help you identify which items are truly important, which are the more make or break items on that inspection to make sure that you're safe. You're moving into a house that is structurally sound and is, free of major material defects. There are always cosmetic items on any property that you are going to come across, so it is near impossible to guarantee a flawless inspection. Anything with that?
No, inspections are just that. That's the job of the in-home inspection, is to find out every little tiny detail, from a missing screw to a shaky door handle to roof spat. So you want to know going into that every single aspect of the house has been reviewed, and you know what you're getting into with a home, whether it be new construction or a resale.
Another pest.
Yeah, and question added into that is, are pest inspections generally part of the purchase contract? It's not. You have an inspection, so you have an inspection period to do anything you want to the property. Like I said, the general home inspection, pest, pool, septic, all of that is just part of your general inspection. So it is part of the purchase contract just because it is there. And then you have the specifics with the WDO, which is the wood destroying organisms report, which a lot of lenders will require, and you kind of want to have that information as well.
What else do you have over there?
So the other question was, I'm relocating my family to Jacksonville for work, and I'm wondering what's the best neighborhoods for raising a family close to downtown. The best thing with Jacksonville and St. Augustine, Orange Park, Fernandina, all of these areas in Northeast Florida, is the fact that the highway system is phenomenal. So no matter where you are, you're generally within 15 to 30 minutes away from any other part of town. So it would just depend on what your definition of what is close to downtown. So if you wanted to be in that 15 to 20 minute window, you can find a ton of different options. Now we do offer, our team offers a relocation package. So if you go to wellsteam.com/relocation, you'll be able to get an actual relocation package. So a plug for our team.
And if you go to our website too and you scroll down, you'll actually see a nice map of Northeast Florida, which basically pinpoints the different areas of town that not only do we service, but they might generally be considered different pockets. So it will really give you an idea of, what's the difference between living in San Marco or Riverside, or the beaches versus off County Road 210 or Nocatee. So and these terms might be foreign to you as well. So we do our best to try and explain that on our website, and we welcome any questions that you have, but that's welchteam.com/relocation, and we'd be happy to connect you with additional information that can help you in that search. And I think
well, tied into this, since there's so many choices when it comes to amenities in Florida, how can I find out what communities have the amenities my family wants, and how can I be sure we can afford them? So tying both those those questions is, we would of course find out what is important to you in our conversations in regards to the amenities. You want a pool, a gym, a clubhouse, tennis courts, anything like that, and those are important factors, and we can specifically identify those in the MLS when we're searching. We generally know the communities that do have certain types of amenities, so we have that availability, and then the MLS helps us narrow that down if we didn't know, or if we didn't know a specific area. And then when it comes down to being sure you can afford them, and that's one of the things that we'll talk about when we talk about the financial side of it. What are you approved up to? What are you looking to pay for your monthly payments? Because that can change depending on CDDs, HOAs, taxes in different areas of Northeast Florida. So we can work you through that.
And it kind of goes right along lines with that. So the question was, my husband and I are newly retired, moving to Florida, and looking forward to golfing and hunting seashells. So we'd love to be in an active community, but without many children or young families. do you have any recommendations? And yes, there are many communities that are out towards the beach and offer lots of golf and, close to the seashore where you can hunt for your seashells. But there are several specific communities that are tailored specifically to 55 and up families. And they limit ownership in there to active older adult lifestyles. So if that is something that you're interested in, we can certainly help you tour some of those communities that are geared directly towards what it sounds like you're looking for.
And there's a ton of those options here, just being again, easy access to the beaches from generally anywhere does help. Being at the beach within 15 to 20 minutes from anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can generally get yourself from one point of Jacksonville to the other within about a 30-minute time period. And we are actually hopefully wrapping up the long, arduous process of a new roadway being built. So in 2018, we'll actually have a toll expressway that will connect in a large loop around the city, circumventing a lot of traffic, which will open up even more opportunities for people to live in one area of town and be able to quickly commute to another area of town as well. This is kind of along those lines too.
My wife and I are moving to Florida to be with her family and are a bit of a time crunch since our lease here in Connecticut is almost up. We'll be buying our first home in Jacksonville and haven't found the right one yet. But there's no room for us at her parents' house. What's the best thing for us to do in this situation? What are the options? Depending on and that's the hard part. We do see that a lot, and Jacksonville being as large as it is and spread out, people aren't 100% familiar with areas. There's a lot of short-term rentals available if you wanted to go, your standard 6 or 7 month leases. Or even if you wanted to do a month-to-month lease, we have, even week-to-week, day-by-day, we have choices available here that do give you that option. So you can come down, settle in immediately. We have furnished and unfurnished options that we know of. So you can kind of go both ways. If you wanted to just kind of keep all your stuff in storage, come down for a month or two, and be able to spend some time looking at the different areas and spend that time finding the right home, because that's really what we care about, is to make sure that you're happy going into that home and not just grabbing the first one that was in the area or in the price range you're looking for.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. We don't want you to feel like you're being forced into a home without being comfortable, and that is a great way to try to familiarize yourself with the city that has so many different options and not feel locked in, sight unseen.
I mean, even if you sign a year's lease, if you have so many apartment complexes have that option to back out if you were to find a different renter to take over the lease. So there isn't anything saying that you couldn't start with a year lease and then truly take your time to be able to investigate the city, especially if you're not familiar with it.
So, what are the best Jacksonville neighborhoods to live in as a single woman in my mid-20s? I'd love to live in a cool area with shops, restaurants, and a fun nightlife, so I can meet new people, but want to feel safe living by myself as well.
I'm old, I don't get to answer that.
So, I was once a young 20s single woman living by myself in the town, so I'll take that question. I think there's a couple different options that are, depending on what you like to do. There are certainly several different areas of town that are, vibrant and have great walkability factors with lots of dining and shopping in them. A couple that come to mind, of course, would be the Riverside, Avondale area. There's ever-growing options. There's an area of town called Brooklyn now. There are options. The town center has become extremely popular with shopping and nightlife and is continuing to grow. And there are purchase options in there as well as, lease options in that area of town. There's the beaches, which has, again, its own little vibe and a couple different pockets of restaurants and nightlife, certainly walkable, certainly bike rideable. Many different little areas around downtown have started to shift their focus to the millennial crowd and making sure that they have options for all people. I think when it comes to safety, that's something that you just need to make sure you look into. There are websites online where you can look at crime stats. There are websites that you can use to check out, all sorts of different things about the specific neighborhood you're looking into. And then, of course, your general just home safety tips. Make sure you lock your doors, windows, car doors. You can always get a security system. But I think that you've got a whole lot of options if you're young and single in your 20s. Did I leave any?
No, I mean, it's the best thing about it is that pretty much even like your larger family type neighborhoods of Nagati do have that ability or that availability for a lot of young family type lives as well. So you could still enjoy the family aspect of it and still have a lot of young
people around.
Yeah, people around that area. Yeah. So
the huge growth that has happened in St. Augustine itself is, I shouldn't forget to mention that as well. If you were to go down to downtown historic St. Augustine, 10 years ago, people might have said it was a sleepy little town that closed up shop at 11 o'clock. Well, certain laws have changed, and now there's a lot of nightlife that happens down there, and a lot of cool, new, fun, chic restaurants and options have opened up for, somebody who's looking for that type of environment as well. So there are a lot of options, and the great part about our Northeast Florida area is that it is still very affordable compared to other areas of the country. So there's a great cost of living benefit for being down here. Let's see. What do we got here? That's a fun one. So so a lot of positives about living in Northeast Florida. Maybe something that's on the not so positive.
Yes. How should I prepare for Florida weather? Hurricanes, etc. Is flooding common? That's no matter which part of the country that you're in, you always deal with some sort of a climate factor. Florida is hot. Summer times are
brutal.
Pushing 100 plus.
Yeah, brutal. Or like today when it's going to be a high of 80 on December
6th.
Yeah,
yes.
6th.
But then tomorrow it's going to be a high of 60 in the 40s. So there is a lot of climate changes here, and we feel it a lot in North Florida for that reason. We're like South Georgia sometimes, so we do get a lot of that cold area. Certain areas, as far as hurricanes goes, this has been a eventful year with hurricanes. The last couple of years have been, and just being prepared for anything that comes through. You just like the climate, it's unpredictable. So it could be coming directly at us, or it could shift. So just want to be prepared, and we always make sure we have look at different resources. For flooding, same thing. There's flood zones identified, but you generally want to know what areas can be prone to it a little bit more than others. If there's heavy rains, pretty much everyone's going to take some water. That's just how it is. But
part of living in Florida.
Yes. I mean, this year itself. I mean, I think we went the entire summer with showers all the time. So it was a very wet summer. Yeah. Combined with the heat. But there are resources on our website. If you go to wellsteam.com/disaster or wellsteam.com/FEMA-flood zone-information, we have everything available on our website, so you can identify where your flood zones are, what are evacuation zones, and definitely heed to that. If you hear on the news evacuation zones say needs to leave the city, definitely do that. I'm lucky in certain areas that we don't have them.
You live at the beach. That's something that you're going to want to, talk to your home insurance provider, check into your flood zone, like George said, and just make sure that you're prepared. Most of the time, everything is fine. Yes. But you always want to be prepared in the event of an emergency, and that is just staying up to date on what's going on and heeding the recommendations of your local service personnel,
Yes.
emergency, news.
Don't wait till the last minute.
Yeah, don't wait till the last minute.
Right.
So totally different totally different questions here. But this kind of goes along with, some people don't really know a lot about certain building styles and how homes are built. And the question was, are all Florida houses built on a slab, or do some have crawl spaces and basements? So the answer is no. Not all Florida houses are built on a slab. There are plenty of houses here that have crawl spaces, not so many basements, as George was talking about with
I think we've seen
flooding.
2 basements.
It's virtually impossible to have a true, sub-floor basement just because of where we sit close to sea level. But yes to crawl spaces. There are a lot of parts of town where, depending on when the home was built and the style the home was built in, crawl spaces were very common in those parts of town. And there's no one wrong or right way to build a house. There are a lot of Florida houses that are built on slab. And some can be cost factors as to when they were built and what, products and building procedures the builder chose to use. But the biggest thing with either one of those options is just to make sure you get a home inspection and check out and make sure that you know what's going on with either option your home might have. And if there are any potential red flags, you get those taken care of, and that you learn proper maintenance for each of the type of building practices.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we have homes on stilts
Yep.
at the beach, so there's all different ways of building a home.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure it's built correctly and there are no factors that have affected it since construction.
Yep. You don't
No,
have
this is
one.
not.
There you go.
I know what an HOA is, but what is a CDD fee? So the CDD fee is the Community Development Disclosure
District.
Disclosure? District?
Well, it is a CDD. The CDD, fine.
Same. It's a fee.
I guess back up. So a lot of people come down here, or even people that have lived in Northeast Florida for a long time and they haven't moved. They go to move and they find a community that has a CDD fee attached to it. And people say, what in the world is a CDD fee? And why am I being asked to pay this every year? So where did the CDD fee come from, George?
The CDD fee is basically a fee that is assigned to every single homeowner. The developer
Of a specific neighborhood. Not every neighborhood has a CDD fee.
Right. So let's just say, start from the beginning. A developer picked out a plot of land. They have to build out the infrastructure. They had this, essentially borrowed the money and stated, well, the 200 homeowners that will then pay back that fee over the next 30 years or 40 years. And that's what those CDD fees are. They paid for the infrastructure, the roads, the lighting, the amenity center, all of that.
All the utilities.
Mm-hmm. All of that being laid down. So that CDD fee is tied to that particular community for 30 or 40 years, depending on what the bond was. Essentially, when you look at those, you'll see there'll be a CDD fee of anywhere from $700 to $3,000 a year. It's tied into your taxes. You pay that every year when you pay your tax bill. So if you look at certain homes and you see a very high tax bill, you could possibly have a CDD fee. So that's important to consider. But they essentially do take over your HOA fee, because you'll look at that, and most of those communities have an HOA fee of $25 to $100 for the entire year. So you're not paying both a very high HOA and a very high CDD fee. You're typically paying one or the other.
Yep, I think the important thing with CDDs is that after a certain length of time, the majority of the CDD is paid off, and that will eventually go away. There might be a yearly maintenance portion that you'll continue to pay, but again, it's just something that your lender will review with you to make sure that those monthly escrow payments are something that fall into what you can and choose to afford when you're looking at homes and what purchase price you want to be in. Well, here's one. Speaking of lenders.
Are there any good programs or loans that are designed for relocation assistance?
There are. So there are certain lenders that focus on different types of relocation assistance loans. If anybody is looking specifically to find out more information about that, shoot us over a little message and we'd be happy to connect you to some lenders who specialize in that process. Also, certain companies offer relocation benefits to their employees, so you might want to check into your employer's benefits and see if that's something that they offer as well. We work with many different relocation companies to help identify homes for buyers, and then on the other side, if you're moving away, making sure that we get your home sold for you, and so that you can move and you don't have to worry about your home that's still here.
Well, going into that a little bit more, it was that there are other options as well for people that relocating still have a home to sell, and then plan on using some of that equity to pay down or pay off the mortgage. So there are it's a kind of a version of the bridge loans, but those are available as well. Just again, let us know and we can kind of get more information into that as well.
Everybody's situation is unique to them, and we'd be happy to help you navigate through that. And then the last question that I have so far for today is, what's the closing process like if I can't be in town for it? And it's not bad at all. So whether you're a buyer or you're a seller, there are closing packages that can be sent out via overnight mail or emailed, printed out, and signed with a notary. And that is something that would just be arranged through the title company or settlement agent that is preparing the file for close. So luckily these days with technology, we can do that, pretty much just the same way that we would do a closing in person. As a buyer, you would have one of us here to do your final walkthrough to make sure that the sellers have prepared the home in the agreed upon manner per the contract prior to closing, so that you are getting everything that was written into the contract, and to make sure there aren't any last minute things that need to be attended to on the seller side if you're leaving, or even if you're relocating down here and you're still selling your house, like George mentioned, from wherever you're coming from. Definitely we can help arrange an out of town or mail away closing for that property up there. That just takes a little bit of communication, and we're happy to arrange that for you as well. Closing doesn't have to be done in person. If it's a cash closing, you can actually do it all with electronic signatures, which is kind of crazy. But wiring money can be done. You can purchase your house with a click of a button, and as a seller, you can receive your funds the same way.
And you can do a power attorney as well, so that's an option. It's like one party can be here, the other party, buyer or sellers, you can always do power attorneys for that. Just again need to be discussed and arranged up earlier in the process, not necessarily closing date. Yeah. Okay. I think that's pretty much all the questions that we had ahead of time. Do we have anything online?
No, unless you guys have any frequently asked questions that you received that you can think of.
Well, we definitely went
information
through,
you want to share.
And we definitely went through a lot of the questions that typically pop up. Most times they're some of the general stuff that we do just to help buyers out when they come into town and not familiar with it. Is drive them around, show them areas, not necessarily just show them a home and what's around you, but show them show them the town center, show them the beaches and the pier, things like that. So you generally have an idea for where your location is. And like I said, Jacksonville is a big city, so you want to spend a little bit of time not just investigating the home, the community, the area, but also generally where everything else is. Where are you going to be working? How are you going to be traveling? How are you going to commute? What's the best routes to take? If I live in Orange Park and I need to work downtown, or I need to go from St. Johns County to Nassau County, what are the best options and routes to go? So those are things that we will help you with, and we can talk. And that's one of the reasons why we love to spend some time talking. Definitely looking at different areas, but also finding out what your needs are, what do you like to do on weekends and things like that too, because that's a big factor. So if the beach is important and you want to be close to it, you don't want to spend an hour driving, then maybe you don't want to live on, the Nassau County or, way out in say, or Oak Cliff area or something like that. So it just depends on what's important to you, and that's what we'd really like to take some time to spend time with you and understand what's important.
Yeah, things. Online research is great. Virtual tours are great. Talking to other people or reading blogs online are great, but there isn't a substitute for actually being here if you can and physically driving around. So, we always tell people, drive around in the morning, drive around at night, make sure you check out the different areas, at different times of day to make sure that that's something that you like still. If you have some specific needs, our team is really good at narrowing down, what parts you should start your search in, but sometimes you don't end up there either. So it's always, it's always good to keep an open mind, but as much information as you're able to share about your wants and your needs and what's on the must-have list and then what's on the might or like-to-have list, that'll help you find what would be a good fit for you in your price point in a specific part of town. So that's pretty much, it's... Yeah. And your needs might change over time too.
Exactly. That's the key factors.
Here in town, people might start out in one section, and then their lifestyle changes, or they have a family, or their kids go off to college and they're downsizing, and people move all over town based on what their current needs are. So we're happy to help.
Yep.
That's
pretty much it. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Check out welchteam.com/relocation for different relocation information. And if not, we will
What's the best way to reach you guys?
Oh, the best way to reach us. Okay. You can reach me, Kelly, at welchteam.com. So that's Kelly at welchteam.com. And George?
Is George at welchteam.com as well. Or you can call me, 904-881-7695.
Sure. And my number is 904-323-2952. We are happy that you joined us today. Thank you for your participation, and check us out next month. I'm not sure what our topic's going to be yet, but I'm sure that we will have lots of questions that we commonly get. I'm hoping that we will be able to help you out too. Thanks, and have a great December. Happy holidays.